I got Catherine Parkinson and Steve Pemberton with me. Before we open the mic, we were just talking about, everyone's got like a bit of a throat and a bit of this and a bit of that. And, what happens when winter comes, isn't it, Steve?
It is, but we've all been given flu jabs because the producers are desperately hoping we won't get ill.
Really?
Yeah. And the flu jab has made me ill.
Well, it gives you the flu slightly, doesn't it? Like a 5% flu, and then you build up a resistance to it, right?
Supposedly.
This could be psychosomatic, but I could blow my nose and show you.
Achoo! You'll know Catherine Parkinson as Jen in the IT Crowd, and from playing Laura Hawkins in Humans, of course. Steve Pemberton is one of the League of Gentlemen, and his many other TV credits include Happy Valley, Benidorm and Whitechapel. Now, Catherine and Steve are currently starring in the new production of the play Dead Funny, which is on at the Vaudeville Theatre in London. So, Catherine, who do you play? And tell us a little bit about Dead Funny and what it's about.
I was hoping you'd ask Steve. So I play Eleanor and Steve.
That was great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That was great. That was comprehensive.
Thank you.
Well, come on, it's called Dead Funny, so there's a clue there in the title.
It's about dead funny people. It's actually a play about a marriage that's failing, but it's also a play about a group of people that are enthusiastic fans of Benny Hill and Frankie Howard and all the comic greats, and it's set when quite a few of them die.
Yes, it celebrates, dead comedians such as Spike Milligan, as you say, Benny Hill. You're Eleanor, and who are you then, Steve?
I play a character called Brian, who is the ex-chairman of the Dead Funny Society. And just when Catherine's character Eleanor is trying to settle down for a bit of nookie with her husband, I come bursting in through the door saying, Benny Hill's dead. So I ruin their night of passion because her husband Richard is the current chairman of the Dead Funny Society. So we decide to throw a party to celebrate the life of Benny Hill. And as with all good theatrical parties, it all goes horribly wrong.
So is your character then at odds with your husband, who's now the chairman of the Dead Funny Society, and you're the former chairman?
No, I'm a very gracious former chairman.
Sure?
Yes, absolutely. We're all a good band, the Dead Funny Society, but Eleanor is the one who isn't part of the society, and she doesn't get the humour.
She doesn't get the humour, and yet is funnier than any of them. That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't like Benny Hill. Can you believe it?
Well, funnily enough, last week when I was off, I watched an old Benny Hill show. We needed some cheering up. We watched this thing on ITV4, and I thought, Benny Hill was very funny. I mean, obviously not overly PC.
Yes.
Yeah,
but funny, really funny. Some great ideas. Really.
Yeah. It is. I watched a bit and I was laughing in spite of myself just because he repeated the same joke in lots of different ways to such kind of, with such commitment that I found myself laughing in the end. And also, it's sped up, and that's funny.
Can you tell me why these dead comedians are being celebrated? And what happens in this? There's a wake for Benny Hill, isn't there?
Yeah, they throw a party to celebrate the life of Benny, and during that, they start to do impressions of other comedians. There's a little Morecambe and Wise routine, there's a bit of Frankie Howard, there's a bit of Max Miller, and they're sort of comedy anoraks, really, and they like quoting bits of comedy. And like Catherine said, underneath that, there's this marriage, which is really sort of, you're just clinging on for dear life, aren't you? So
yeah, there's a celebration of these old routines and everything, but they do it sort of so relentlessly that it ends up becoming a sort of avoidance. And I don't want people to think that it's just a rehash of all these famous old.
So it's a kind of bittersweet thing. So against the backdrop of the comedians, you've got these relationships falling apart.
Exactly.
Yes? Okay.
And there is a custard pie fight. So
is there?
Something for everybody.
And do you get to do any impressions of the comedians?
I get to do a little bit of Fred Scuttle, which is Benny Hill's character with the beret and, good evening, viewers. This is Fred Scuttle.
It's uncanny.
Well, people will think they've stumbled
I
upon
thought we were back at Thames in Teddington, didn't we? Now, what about Humans? Another series of Humans coming up, yeah?
Yeah, I've literally just come from an ADR recording, when you sort of do dubbing. I was doing that this morning and it's looking fantastic. I think there was a whole sequence with bullets and things that I enjoyed watching. And actually, Emily Berrington, who's in the play with us, she plays Niska, so I'm working with her again, which is lovely as well. Yeah.
Great. League of Gentlemen, did I hear there's going to be more?
We are definitely going to try. It's not official yet, but it's almost 20 years since we started. So it's just over 10 years since we last did anything, which was a movie. And yeah, we're all great mates. And, if people want to see it, then it's a bit like Dead Funny. Why not rehash those old comedians?
I'd want to see it.
Well, League of Gentlemen was just kind of groundbreaking, really, because it was so odd. It was so funny, so odd, so surreal, wasn't it?
Scary as well.
Scary.
Yeah.
And you think, they're not exactly playing this down the line for pure comedy, but it's wildly funny. even in the odd bits.
Absolutely, yeah. We did a show in Edinburgh a few times, and then we took it to Radio 4, where we had to sort of knock the edges off it a little bit because it was playing at 6:30. When we did the BBC Two show, we just indulged all our love of horror films, and we put in as many references as possible to scary things, because I think to laugh 1 minute and scream the next is the perfect half hour.
And just taking it back to Dead Funny, this is funny and has pathos at the same time, doesn't it? See the way I did that? Link that back in.
That was beautifully done.
Yeah, I've done this work before.
And actually, I think Dead Funny similarly will reference lots of things, but I think people will appreciate it. I don't think they need any knowledge of those comedians to come and appreciate everything.
But if I were to say, oh, no, missus, you would get that, right?
Frankie!
Yeah, hey, Frankie. You can see Catherine Parkinson and Steve Pemberton starring in Dead Funny at the Vaudeville Theatre in London. Go see. Thank you, Catherine and Steve. Thank you very much. That was great. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Nicely done.